Hello all, this is a recording of the A-level forum on retrieval, reteaching and practice. So it's in response to our cross-college student voice that says that these are the areas we could just do some tweak and some work on, so retrieval, reteaching and practice. So to remind you, retrieval is about recalling, or the students I should say, recalling information from memory to strengthen their understanding. And we know from the research that the most effective practitioners that have the kind of most impact upon students and outcomes spend between 5 to 8 minutes in retrieval in their lessons. So I'm going to show you what I do in my A-level lesson. So in sociology, it's 100% exam, and they have about 180 sociologists to remember. So retrieval is really critical for us. So my students always start their lesson 3 minutes with multiple choice quiz. They come in, the quiz is on the board, and they have to literally multiple choice the sociologists from the past, say, three lessons. Multiple choice is nice and easy. It just offsets buses and things like that. The students really like it. But the sociology exam does not have multiple choice, but it's a lovely little starter. Once they've done 3 minutes of quizzing, their whiteboards are always on desks. They then must spend 10 minutes revising the sociologists that I've popped on the board. So they then get their green ethnicity and crime grid, and they have to revise the sociologists and kind of usefulness and evaluation for 10 minutes. If this was a live lesson, I would be literally questioning you all and going, right, how many minutes do I spend on quizzing? What's most effective teachers? How long? Because cold calling and questioning is also part of retrieval, and it's really helpful for students to strengthen their memory by being called upon to be reminded, what are the most how long do the most effective teachers spend? Tell me again. So 3 minutes multiple choice quizzing, 10 minutes of revision on whiteboards. It comes through as a really important area for us, that they really enjoy this revision. And one of the skills kind of things that comes through for us in our subject is students have been very effective in their GCSEs with little or no revision. And therefore we have to embed the skills to ensure they can revise nice and effectively. So that's my retrieval. I do lots of retrieval throughout the lesson. I literally question them constantly. And those of you obviously in my CPD know this well. It's how we kind of also bridge what can be a criticism of our subject is death by PowerPoint or death by delivery. Constantly questioning them and getting them to recall the same information back to you is a really important way to break it up. And although it can feel a bit strange, again, my students really value me going, right, how many minutes does teacher send? 5 to 8. How many? 5 to 8. They really like that retrieval of it that comes through. So I'd really recommend it, and you're always welcome to come and pop in and see how I deliver that. Practice. So practice is about applying that knowledge repeatedly so the students become fluid in that application to exams. So in sociology, I have 40 markers. I have really large essays, and I physically don't have the time each lesson to do obviously a 40 marker. But I always do 3 minutes of multiple choice, 10 minutes of revision, mini application. By mini application, they have to write me a paragraph on the sociologists they've revised and been quizzed on. And they have to do it on whiteboards, and they only get 8 minutes 33 seconds to write it, because that's how long a paragraph takes in the exam. So I've taken the 40 marker, divided it by the 50 minutes, and then worked it out, drilled it right down to each paragraph. And I've done that because when they're doing that paragraph application, what's happening is they're only doing names. In 8 minutes, they're just writing me the names that they've revised, but they're not doing the AO2 or the AO3. And I constantly have on my board that AO2 is worth the same amount of marks as AO1. AO1's worth 14, AO2 is worth 14, and AO3 is worth 13. So I'm drilling them and getting them to apply and practice in the right time, and telling them after 4 minutes, you need to stop with the knowledge, no matter where you are, and move on to the AO2 and then AO3, because otherwise 14 out of 40 is an E. They must move on. So it really helps them apply that application. As they're writing their paragraph on their whiteboards, as I'm going around, I'm just reviewing and I'm seeing, and I'm kind of basically live marking and checking them. Any issues, if the same issue presents 3 times, if I stop and say to Reese, right, we've got to move to this side for me, right, Gemma, yep, right, now move on here. If I've got the same issue recurring 3 times, I stop the room and we do it together. I reteach the room. And I find that this is a way that just is that reteaching opportunity, and to prevent kind of errors being embedded is really, really critical. So these are some of my strategies for retrieval and A-level. Practice, I've done it in a slightly different order because that's what I do in my lesson. Retrieval quiz, retrieval on whiteboards, practice, applying it to the exam paragraph, and then I reteach any gaps. But I would be really keen in the next Teach Meet to really hear your ideas about things like reteaching, retrieval and practice. Time is so poor within the lessons, but it's so helpful to share those ideas. And the kind of more we share and pick up those ideas and try them with the students, the better hopefully their outcomes will be. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Any questions, as always, please let me know and I'll be happy to have a lovely chat. Thanks again.